Hey, how's it going, fellas? It's Zuko, and today we are talking about the Anime Expo 2024 anime figure announcements. Wasn't that many this time around. We just had SmileFest, so I think that's perfectly understandable. In fact, I wasn't even going to make this video, but as the weekend went on, a couple more things started to trickle out, and there was also a situation regarding one of the announcements where the figure might not even exist anymore, and for pretty good reason too, but we'll talk about that probably at the end, so you'll have to wait for that. For now, I want to talk about the positive stuff, the good stuff, even if there wasn't that much here. So it's really just Good Smile and Kotobukiya, maybe an extra thing here or there later on, which you might care about. Normally, I don't talk about model kits on this channel, I just leave that for the experts and the people who really focus on that stuff, but considering this is the only one that I really saw in the gallery, why not show it off? Slaughter Spine, super sick name, from Horizon Forbidden West. I gotta imagine this thing's gonna cost a ton of money considering its size and how many pieces it must take to build this thing, but it's a pretty incredible looking kit. I do like model kits, I just haven't built one in a very long time. But our first actual figure is Monica, the dress version, a pop-up parade from Doki Doki Literature Club. Gone on record saying that I will probably never play this game because it's been spoiled to hell and back, so I have no reason to. Though I don't know if this dress is canonical, maybe it's just based off of some artwork. Kind of surprised they did not make this a large variant because I know for a fact we already have a pop-up parade and a Nendoroid, so why not try something different? But for what it is, I think it's pretty, and I like the flowers in her hair. Plus like 7,000 likes, clearly a popular figure. But if you want to see a figure with a ton of likes, look no further than Pomni with 26,000 likes, which is absolutely absurd. But the popularity of this show, with only 2 episodes, can't be understated. This series has blown up so fast. So while I wasn't really expecting this, like this has to be one of the quickest turnarounds from a show premiering to getting a Nendoroid. Like I've never seen a figure produced this fast before. But you know what? I like the Amazing Digital Circus, I like Pomni, and I like how they kept the proportions. This just looks like a mini version of her, you know what I mean? Like it's not chibi-fied. It is slightly, but you know what I'm saying, the noodle limbs are still there. It doesn't seem like too much was, messed with to get this sculpt down. I really hope she comes with that expression where her eyes are like, I don't know, 70% of her face and she looks sad. It's on her door. I'll put an image on the screen right now if I could find it. But yeah, I don't really know what she would come with in terms of accessories. She might be light on the accessories, but I only watched each episode once, so I'm probably forgetting something. I have to imagine this will sell extremely well, and then I hope we get Ragatha, because I like her. I just like her design. The Raggedy Ann thing, if anybody has seen Bump in the Nights, I like Molly as well. That's a great show if you've never seen it and you like old cartoons. So give that one a watch. We also had from VShojo, Iron Mouse. She is getting a large size pop-up parade. Not the outfit I would have expected, but she has so many. Like, I don't even know how many designs she has at this point, but I do like how she mixes it up and supports artists and all of that, which is a topic we'll talk about later. But yeah, because she has the spiral twin tails, kind of like this one. I don't know if the crown is really going to work that well because it's just going to be floating there with like an acrylic piece sticking out. Hopefully they hide that. Maybe like the crown is tilted a little bit more back than in this artwork. That could be a good idea. But it's a cute design for sure. Also from VShojo, forgive me if I don't say her name right, Zentria. I have not seen any of her content. I think she looks cool though. I think this will be a nice little Nendo. But unfamiliarity means I have nothing to ramble on about. Next up, though, is freaking Doki Bird, which I don't think anybody saw coming. A very exciting announcement as well. I'll admit, I'm only like a recent fan. I only recently found out about Doki Bird, probably after all that, drama related to her and whatnot, which we won't get into. But yeah, she's great. I was watching the Say Jam Slam the entire time because of her team with Coney and Slime and Brawl Pro. It was amazing. That was such a good tournament. But yeah, I am genuinely interested to see how this one turns out and what faceplate she comes with. Next up, though, was my favorite announcement of the entire event. Eclipses all the others, if you ask me. Can't believe this was actually announced here. We're getting a pop-up parade large of Jill Stingray from Valhalla. The frickin' smile on my stupid face when I saw this go up on Thursday was just like, I can't replicate that. This was very exciting to me. Just did not expect this to like ever happen. The indie games never really get figures like this. Usually it's just Nendos, which I'm fine with. Nendos are cute. I collect them. Maybe a pop-up parade. But to go a step above with the larger size, the only thing better would be a scale figure at this point. But that's a pipe dream. This, frankly, though, was a pipe dream. I didn't think I'd get something like this, and I am absolutely ordering this day one, unless they, like, catastrophically mess it up somehow, but this sculpt looks amazing. In fact, I don't know what magic they did to make her legs look this nice, and like her hips. I mean, Jill's attractive, don't get me wrong, but I just wouldn't have expected this level of, like, detail for the legs in a pop-up parade. And the way they sculpted the skirts in this area right here, I don't know, kind of immaculate if you ask me. Also very surprised they gave her coat. I would have just expected the bartender outfit, which would have been perfectly fine, would have been very excited for that as well. But I think the coat makes her outfit and just design overall look even better. And she's smoking too, and you know how it goes when a video game character and anime character smokes, it just looks a little bit cooler for whatever reason, even though I do not like smoking in real life. Anyway, next up, Hades 2. I don't know how to say her name, I haven't played Hades 2 yet. But the main character, right, from the newest game is now getting a Nendoroid. I'm going to play this game when it's done. Hades 1 was great. I had a fantastic time playing it. Have literally no interest playing the early access, but very exciting to see that she's also getting a Nendo, and very early on too. But who knows how long this will actually take to come out. You know what, let me at least try to say her name. Melinoe. One of those, surely. Anyway, next up, kind of surprised this is here, because we do have some other HoloLive announcements later on, but it's like a batch of them that came at the end of the event. But we did get an update on Figma Watson. We'll click it just to see the zoom in of it. Unfortunately, not really getting, you know, a look at the accessories and the faceplates. You never do until the figure actually goes up for pre-order. But you can see the magnifying glass, you can see her face, which looks cute, pretty accurate to her model. So no complaints from me, but I really do like to see the accessories before I give a big opinion on a Figma. This one's very exciting though. We're getting a Kill la Kill pop-up parade Satsuki large size. I don't know if she ever did get a normal size pop-up parade. I don't collect a lot of the smaller ones. I do like the larger ones more. But this is definitely a companion piece to the recently released Ryuko, which I did review on this channel. Really liked it, especially for the price. And this is, for all intents and purposes, pretty perfect for this scale and just this like line of figures. Like, this is the perfect pose for something that can't be like super dynamic, but it still has that dynamism to it because of the pose that she's striking with her hair flowing out a little bit. The only other pose I could have thought of for something like this is if she had the sword kind of planted into the ground, where she has both hands on the hilt. But yeah, I think this is great. The only real downside here, which is a downside for pretty much all pop-up parades, is going to be like the shading. And since it's like primarily white, it might look a little too flat for some people, but hopefully the blue and the gold kind of carries the palette and just makes the figure look nice in the end. But yeah, also a Nendo for Red Pyramid Thing. When did they change this guy's name? I thought Pyramid Head was a better name. I don't know. I feel like we've been seeing this one for a while. I like Pyramid Head. I like Silent Hill, though I still need to play 2. Missed that one somehow. Silent Hill 1's great. I played that one at least, even though it's like super dated. Maybe this Halloween I'll play Silent Hill 2. Not the remake, though. I don't think that one looks very good. But that's just my opinion. He looks cute as a Nendo. And then I think the last, like, figures from Good Smile Company, at least outside of just announcements, were the Nendos for Gintoki, Kagura, and Shinpachi, which is a long time coming. Can't believe it took this long to finally get Nendos. Back when I was collecting in 2011, 2012, and maybe even into 2013, I was very big into Gintama. Had a ton of figures, but I had to let a lot of them go at the time. Just was spending too much money. I was being very irresponsible. But I recall Shinpachi, like, never really got a nice figure. Everybody else did, and maybe at this point he got a figure. I haven't really been paying attention, but it actually makes me kind of happy that Shinpachi finally got one. Kagura looks very cute in the Nendoroid form, and so does Gintoki. I don't know if I'll buy any of these because I do have scales of Gintoki and Kagura. Maybe this is a good excuse to finally have a Shinpachi and complete the trio. It'll look a little weird because he'll be a tiny little guy compared to the scales. But you know what? Maybe that's kind of fitting in like a joking way. We'll see. We'll see what he comes with, and we'll see how he turns out. So Good Smile Company, that was for their Thursday highlights, but on Saturday they had a few more if we could find them. These are figures that already went up. Where are they? Right here. Okay, so they had a little HoloLive event. I think it was hosted by Mokoko and Fuwawa. I wasn't around to like watch that if it was streamed or anything. I was out that day. But we did get a couple announcements for like the EN division, which is long overdue if you ask me, because usually they just kind of talk about the Japanese HoloLive girls, which is fine. I love them just as much, but it just, you know, I wanted to see this, especially Bales. I really like her design. But Mume, Bales, Crony, Fauna, and Iris are all getting Nendos. It's a little sad that Sana isn't going to get one because she graduated, but that would have been nice if they actually included her. Maybe they can't anymore, but it does make me a little sad. We also got Nendos for Fuwawa and Mokoko, which wasn't really as surprising considering they were like actually talking about the announcements at the events, so that's lovely. They're also getting pop-up parades, so they're really winning at this event. But then we also got an announcement for a scale figure for Gawagura, which is not her first scale figure. Design Coco made one, and it turned out very nicely. So this isn't like the biggest news out there. It's still cool that Good Small Company is tackling a Gura figure, but I really hope it's not just based off of this art. Like, I hope they do something a little bit more creative, even though I'm sure the quality will be there. I just feel like the other figure's design is just so much more interesting and appealing to me that this would be a little underwhelming if this was what they went with. Mori is getting a scale figure from Max Factory, which seems like a pretty good fit. This actually feels like this is what the figure will look like considering the art they chose. This feels a little bit too specific, and I feel like that will definitely turn out to be something pretty special, especially considering that Max Factory is the one making it, and they proved themselves with that Marine figure, which I absolutely adore, one of my favorites in my collection. Just seems like the perfect fit, and I think this one's got a ton of potential, but we'll see how it turns out in the future. Alright, so if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think Kotobukiya really had a ton of, like, prototypes at the event, like scale figures physically there. It was primarily just, like, the announcements of what they're working on, which is fine. I just want to lead in with that, so you kind of have some expectations here. But we are getting Victor with Score Bunny. Very surprised this wasn't a thing yet. They kind of just forgot about him for a little bit, but they're circling back. They're also re-releasing Gloria with Sable, if you missed out on that one. Have no idea what the aftermarket prices on her were, but re-releases are always good. I really want them to finish this line of, like, you know, protagonists. It feels like they're taking a little bit too long for my personal liking. I like these figures. I own a bunch of them, but I like the gym leaders more. The special characters like Marnie or N. I want to see, like, the Elite Four from the, you know, various generations, but I don't know if they're ever going to do that because they're taking so long with these characters. But I still like them, and it's still a great announcement. Kotobukiya is also doing a bunch of OCs, which is a little surprising, but not really at the same time. They've done it before, but you just don't really think about Kotobukiya and OCs when primarily they're tackling, like, very popular franchises, like the Shonen anime and Pokemon, for example. But we have a new one here. Kafun's illustration will be made into figures. They're saying figures, so I don't know if this is like multiple bunny girls, the trick bunnies. I don't know, it's just kind of shocking to see this here. Like, I would expect to see an announcement like this at One Fest from a company I've never heard of before. But I love this art style, and I really like this pose if this is what they're going for. These two specifically in the front, I think would make for a stellar figure or pair of figures. Though if it's only the girl on top, wouldn't she just like lean over? Like, something has to be there to support her. So I feel like you need the girl and her knees down here to actually make this sculpt work. We also have another OC. Sakura Miwabe's illustration is coming to life as a figure. Snowdrop is their name, with the little lantern and the very pretty kind of like snowflakey dress. I do wonder if you get the flowers back there. I think that would make the sculpt look even better. Some extra colors in there will definitely help with the contrast. And yeah, I guess it's really just going to come down to like how well they handle the dress, like how thin it'll look on the final product, and the details throughout it in the bra, like these flowers over here, could be very pretty. They also showed off a Bishoujo statue for the command officer from Star Trek, which sounds generic. You know, I've never seen Star Trek, a little before my time, but that doesn't sound like a character. I'm surprised they wouldn't just make like someone important into a figure, but maybe licensing on that's a little trickier. So I don't know, but hey, she actually did have a prototype, which is more than you could say for a lot of the other figures from Kotobukiya. In fact, that's like one of two that I can remember. Leona from The King of Fighters 97 specifically, they actually showed what the art is going to look like. We knew this was happening, but we didn't know what the art actually looked like, so now you do. Leona's cool as shit. Don't know if this style really fits her. I feel like even though I like a lot of these figures so far from The King of Fighters, I don't know if I like this one that much, but I'll hold judgment because I still like her and I still hope that one turns out great. So I'm going to hold off just a minute before I talk about Sadako because they announced this here, but then they had additional information later in the weekend. So we'll come back to that. We also got from Trigun Stampede a prototype of the new Vash figure, the Gunman in Black, which I think is a spoiler. I'm like halfway through the original show. Now he looks like how he did back in the day, but with a black outfit instead. This is pretty much a repurposing of the original Vash the Stampede Stampede version figure. I don't know if I said that right. He got a new figure recently. This was the same pose of it, but he had a different base. The base down here looks very similar to the old figure, like really old figure of Vash and Wolfwood. So I'm wondering if it's going to be styled in the exact same way. It's an interesting use of the same mold. It doesn't feel super lazy, but it's one of those situations where you might like this one more and you already bought into the other figure and you might not care to have like the same looking figure on your shelf back to back. I kind of just wish they gave him a different pose, but I'm not really in the know with this new series yet because I am very behind. They did announce a Wolfwood figure to go alongside Vash though, which was definitely heavily requested. No prototype though, they're just showing us that they are working on him, which is great. Feel like they had to do that at some point. But yeah, as you could see, we already have the sculpt and it's painted for Sadako. And she's actually going up for pre-order in like a day or two. I think Tuesday, maybe Monday night, depending on the time zones. But this one looks really good. There's two faceplates here. Not sure if one of them is going to be exclusive. I really hope in this case it's not, because that would be a pain in the ass. And I have to imagine they're marketing this more towards like the West because of like the horror thing, you know, but I don't know. If you're thinking this looks a little weird or something, it's really not, because they've done a ton of these Bishoujo horror figures in the past, and if anything, this is probably the most involved of them because of the base they went with this time around. It's a bunch of VHS tapes just smashed up, and you got the tape inside of the VHSs just kind of like all over the place, all crumpled. Looks really good, like very realistically done, and it's a bit fan servicey, I guess, because it's wrapping around her feet, and they really sculpted her feet like amazingly. Like, I guess they had to because of the character, but I'm surprised how nice her feet look. And then there's also the fact that they're conveniently censoring her butt with the VHS tape in the front, which I think is kind of funny. I don't think you'll get that from the back. But yeah, I like this one. I think they did a fantastic job, especially with this head sculpt here with the eye poking out. Very good looking. I just wonder how she's actually being supported. I assume it's a metal pole or something keeping her up, but we need more photos or just the figure to come out to actually confirm that. We also have a figure of Draculaura from Monster High, getting a Bishoujo figure, just the announcement though, as well as Vampirella getting a Bishoujo figure. A lot of these horror-themed characters, which is cool. They're really focusing on that at this event, though the complete opposite side of that, we're getting My Little Pony figures, which is not new from Kotobukiya. They made a ton in the past, but it's been a pretty long time since we've seen any figures in this specific line. So we got two more on the way, Princess Candace and Queen Chrysalis. If you've never seen these figures or this like line before, I'll put an image of an example of what it'll look like. You'll get the Bishoujo version of the character, and then how the character normally looks in pony form. And I think that's actually it for Kotobukiya. So that's it from them, which is redundant. I don't know why I said that twice. Over at S-Fire, they only had one figure. This wasn't even really like at the event, I don't think, but as you can see, they did announce it for Anime Expo 2024. They actually painted their Rei figure, the long hair version, which looks okay. I feel like the colors might be a little too saturated, like maybe the blue should be like toned down a little bit. Her face looks like fine, like it's a cute figure, but it also looks a little bit off to me. I don't have like super high hopes for this one. The paint looks good though. I think they shaded it nicely for sure. I do worry about the pricing on this one just because S-Fire pricing is kind of ridiculous these days. Even for a relatively simple figure like this, we've seen that in the past. Not the biggest deal if this one doesn't turn out exactly how you would like it, just because you will have other options on the market. Next up, this one was not revealed at Anime Expo, but it was revealed over this past weekend, and I feel like you guys would care about it. Kafka, I'm assuming that's how you say her name, like the Final Fantasy VI guy, from Honkai Star Rail is getting a scale figure from Apex. And it's looking pretty damn promising, though. You do have Apex behind the wheel here, so I think it's like guaranteed to be at least good, but could even be spectacular by the time it's done. Her pants look dope, and I love the coat, how it's kind of billowing out there. She's got her weapon in the back over here. There's like a whole elaborate base of just like smashed concrete and I guess steel beams and stuff like that. Really, really want to see how this one looks with the color. Like, I can't fully appreciate this because I don't play Honkai Star Rail, but she's pretty, and I know people are very excited about that one. I believe Apex also gave us an update for March 7th from Honkai Star Rail, though considering she does have a price down here, I'm gonna guess that she's going up for pre-order pretty soon, like within the month, so I'm not gonna really, like, break this one down right now. We'll save that for the pre-order roundup as well. She looks very pretty, though. Love this base. The splash looks amazing. Nice dynamism to it. The bow is gigantic. The colors are very pretty. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have to gather some information for the last topic, so give me a minute, and I'll be right back. Actually, you know what? Before we move on, there were a couple of, like, event-exclusive figures that weren't announced at this event, but, like, prior, and then they were sold here, so I might as well point them out. So we had a recolor of Lilith from Darkstalkers, who is colored to look like Morrigan, of course. We had a Star Trek girl, the medical officer, who originally had black hair and a different hairstyle altogether. And then there was Cliff from Transformers, who is a repurposing of the Bumblebee sculpts. I don't know if all of these are being sold on AmiAmi or Sideshow. Usually they make them available, so I would say don't pay into the scalpers if you're worried about them. And while we're here, might as well point out, because I have not talked about this on my channel yet, Kotobukiya are making scale figures from Like a Dragon, from Yakuza, of Kiryu and Majima. These are going to be 1/6 scales. We have no information yet. This is it. But as somebody who really wants figures of these two, I am very excited about them. All I'm asking for at this point is that they get the faces correct for Kiryu and Majima. I'm tired of these off-model figures. I want something that actually looks like the characters. I don't need anything super dynamic. Just make something that looks like the two, and then I'll be happy. But now, we'll move on to the final section. Alright, so, over the weekend, you might have seen this Nendoroid announcement pop up. Fillion is getting a new figure. A very popular VTuber, if you're not aware of her. But, if you go to look up this right now, it no longer exists. Good Smile Company actually deleted the page altogether. And the reason for that is because as soon as this did pop up, after the initial wave of excitement, a lot of people were very quick to point out that Fillion did not actually pay for her model. There's a lot of, like, posts about it. This is probably the main one. This is a translated post from the original artist, Jingo, of the model, basically saying that Good Smile Company did not have any communication with them, nor did Fillion, so there was no permission granted on this. She wasn't going to get paid or anything like that. They were essentially just going behind her back and making this figure, to which Jingo followed up by contacting Good Smile Company and Fillion to just, like, figure out what's going on, which probably led to the figure getting taken down. And I would be very surprised if it ever gets made unless they come to some kind of agreement. Honestly, it's just surprising that Fillion hasn't just bought a new model at this point, considering how popular she is. Definitely has the money for it, so I don't know why she wouldn't just go down that route and avoid all these headaches. I really am not here to, like, get into all of this because I don't have the information, but it's very rare for something like this to happen. You announce something, you take it down immediately, because Good Smile just didn't know. They didn't do the homework. They didn't contact the original artist, and I guess how could they? How would they have known until the actual artist popped up and talked about it and got in contact with them? So it's a bit of a messy situation, though. I'm pretty sure this is not the first time that it's happened. in terms of like Fillion making merchandise with this model without getting permission. Though again, I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I'm not really into the whole VTuber drama thing. That's not really what the point of this channel is. I'm sure somebody has talked about it on YouTube, but I do feel like it's a pretty shitty situation. I feel like it was very easily avoided. You know, I really, really wish the original post was still up because I have never seen community notes in other languages. It's always in English. Just somebody telling somebody else, you're dumb, you're telling lies, this post is bullshit. But this was just like every country coming together to be like, yeah, this is the actual story here, in case you're not aware. That's like the one good new thing on Twitter these days, having the community notes. Either it's very funny or you're actually going to get informed on something. But yeah, that post is long gone. I have read somewhere that the model might be free, but using it for commercial use, like making these products and merchandise and figures, is where like, all right, you got to actually get in contact with these people and make sure you're good to go. But yeah, there are clips of Fillion just saying like she got this for free, like she didn't pay for the model. So it's not like she lied about it, but yeah, you know what? I don't really want to get into this. I did not do my homework on this, but I thought it was interesting, so I just wanted to bring it up. This is just something in my wheelhouse because it's related to a figure, so I kind of had to just mention it very quickly. But on that note, we're done. That's it for Anime Expo. That's all I really had this time around. There was probably some like Bandai, you know, figure arts and stuff like that, but typically I don't talk about that stuff on this channel because that's just not what we really focus here, so be sure to look for that if you care about that line of figures. And until next time, I'll see you later. Hopefully you enjoyed the shorter news updates, and I'll see you guys very soon. Later.